Are you overthinking every single conversation? In the past, I found it really draining and confusing, like I wasn't made to do it. After going from a bit of a social misfit to jumping into a customer service job for over 2.5 years, I learned the hard way how to actually flow with people in heaps of different situations. Now I've gotten a lot better at having fun and charming conversations. I can learn about people quickly. I've learned to make conversations happen by themselves and even give them a little bit of fuel when they're dying down. And I'm going to show you exactly what I learned and how.
Oh Lord, it's good to be here with you, Mr. O'Brien.
I didn't have many close friends in high school, or even after school. I worked mostly in a factory with little to no people to talk to, especially my age. It was like I wasn't meant to be confident or just good at talking. Then I quit and I got an offer to do the most terrifying thing on the planet, giving random people food that they ordered. But it ended up changing my life. It really got me out of my shell and it put me on the right path. Now I'm so much more confident in talking to people and even people that I've never met before. So how did I actually learn how to have good conversations easily? Well, about a year after I started this new job, I got another one, a cafe. I'd already improved quite a bit by now, but there was a major difference I found between cafes and that nightly restaurant work. The biggest difference was that whenever I went to go to the cafe to work, I would meet so many more people because they were only there for a coffee or a small meal. Where people at a restaurant were there for sometimes hours. And although I hated it, it actually turned out to be a good thing because I met some of the most interesting people I've ever met. And one of the most impactful things I learned was who was doing it best. Who is the best socializer? Who is the best conversationalist? I'll always remember Pam. She was a regular and she got the same thing basically every time. She'd always tell me about her grandson, and when I left on my last day, she happened to come in. It was that day I found out that she had a terminal illness. I hugged her, and I wasn't happy, but I had to go home to my other job. Pam wasn't alone. She, among the other older people, were the most memorable. Bert, Johan, the lady that came in at 3 p.m. every day to pick up coffee ground for her lily garden, felt like that these people always had the best conversations and left an impact on me. Nearly all my co-workers would agree too. I think we could learn a lot from older people. But why is that, and how can we learn from them? Well, older people have been around for much longer. They have much more experience than I will for a long time, especially when it comes to socializing. They grew up in a time where talking to people that even you didn't know was normal. Think how many friends they made like that. One of the biggest things they taught me is that conversation was more about sharing and having fun. It's not about winning. It's a very human thing to share how we feel, what we think, our ideas. They remembered my name. They wanted to know how I was going, but also they talked about themselves, which made it more fun. We'll get into how later. I had some of the best conversations with these people and I learned so much about what it really means to chat, to talk with someone. I learned a lot from just listening to them and appreciating their vibe. If you know someone, like a parent, a grandparent, family friend, or even a neighbor, they know so much and they can teach you so much about how to be with people, how to chat. Who knows, you might find out the secret to unreal levels of aura. But what was the best thing that they taught me? What was the most impactful thing that I learnt in my entire life probably? Well, it's the secret behind making conversations just happen, naturally and easily. There was one time where I was getting my teeth checked and cleaned, and suddenly, the head dentist who I've known for years had to go help another dentist with a tooth extraction next door. Didn't sound very great. I was left alone with the assistant who I didn't know. She sat on the chair beside me. Terrible, right? What am I going to do? Well, actually, I was fine. And we ended up chatting about all sorts of stuff, from crime, university, and Silence of the Lambs. It just happened. It just fell into my lap. I was getting to know her, and she was getting to know me. We were having so much fun, and wasn't even trying that hard. And I'll be honest, it felt great to have a conversation like that just happen. And it's definitely not the first time it's happened, especially with someone that I just didn't know. So what did I do? Remember before how I talked about conversation being more about sharing things? Well, what would happen if we made those things bigger, stronger, more impactful? What if we made more of them? Well, we can do that. I've noticed in the past that when I'm listening pretty well, people just splurge out everything. They tell me everything. It gave us more things to talk about and it made those things feel more important. And on top of that, I got to know them better and that made talking to them just so much more relaxing and easier. It made it so much more fun. Active listening is a backed skill. It has studies behind it and it's used by psychologists today to help clients open up about all kinds of things to feel better. And the best part was the more I listened, the more I understood how to do it better. And I found found the people that I was talking to more interesting. But I found that listening can be a double-edged sword. When we do it to be better liked by people, that's where it falls short. People usually pick that up straight away and they're less likely to reciprocate. That's been proven in studies as well. When I feel like I'm not fully engaged with someone, I can see them start to switch off. They cut their sentences short and they talk quieter. I'd say next time you're in a conversation, try to focus more on truly hearing the person. Try to understand them and why they're saying those things and what they really mean. Even just knowing I need to listen more often helped me a lot, especially when it paired with the next thing. But what if the conversation started to lose its magic? Lost its substance? Well, I do one of two things that have worked wonders for me in the past. Well, first of all, I practice not giving a damn. There's really not much wrong with a dead silent conversation. Some conversations just aren't meant to be. And the other thing? Well, some might think it's kind of against what I've talked about in the past. But I've found a way that you can spice up a conversation very quickly. And it's simply by talking about myself in a certain way. Back in the dentist chair, I'm waiting for this extraction in another room, and this conversation was still happening for well over 10 minutes. But at some point, it started to slow down. When people ask questions or even just say random stuff, I find it's an invitation for conversation. They're creating material that we can potentially talk about. So I made material. I talked about myself in a certain way. As a result, we found things that we thought were both interesting. We learned a lot about each other too. Curiosity was built up. I realized that we could both be sitting there and not knowing that we have a deep passion for a certain beach. Or maybe we're looking for a new gym and this person knows a good one. It's crazy how much goes unspoken. Conversation, I think, should be a team effort. And I also think conversation is a two-way street. Being able to talk about stuff we care about when people listen is part of the fun, especially when it adds to the conversation. But we run into a problem. How did I talk about myself? And if I'm talking about me, won't people just not listen? Whenever I talked about myself, I tried to keep it open-ended and describe in better detail than I usually would. I might keep it engaging as well. And when I talk about myself, it gives me ideas of questions I might ask someone or opinions I might get from them about something. I might expand on something that we were just talking about to help build a connection with someone. In my experience, this gives everyone a lot more material to work with. And sometimes it can make us both feel more comfortable. Maybe that person you're talking to is feeling anxious and all they need is someone to just open up and yap to them for them to feel like they can open up too. I know I felt like this when I was feeling really anxious a while ago. But isn't there a chance that they won't listen? Well, I have a video for that. It's right here. And if you want to know more about active listening, I have a video for that too. It's here. Active listening changes lives and it helps us all become more charismatic and sociable. That's what this toolkit does. It helps you get through it 5 to 10 minutes a day. And it's set up to help you become a much better listener and socializer after even just the first or second section.